Buddy. Hello, welcome. The George Mossey Show. We're gonna be talking MILF Manor, episode 11. We're also going to be discussing 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, episode 2. So I think we're on season 6 of The Other Way, episode 2. So we're gonna get into that. I was a little surprised that the episode was 1 hour tonight because we got a premiere of 2 hours. So I was a little surprised. Before it even really got started, it was over. So I was a little surprised, but we got a lot of drama. So I feel like we still have something to work with at least. Hi, Carista. Hi everybody. So yeah, we're gonna get into the probably MILF Manor first, right? Because that came on first. So I feel like it's probably hi.
Hi.
Hello, ladies. How are you guys?
Running late. Sorry, guys.
Oh no, it's okay. I was actually planning for later because I assumed the episode was 2 hours.
I did too.
So right when it went off, I was like, "What's going on? Why is it over? I'm not ready."
Yeah.
I had other things going on, so yeah, I was a little surprised. But I want to start with MILF Manor though, because that came on first, and it was kind of a really crazy episode, right? Like it was friends and family episode. We're on episode 11, by the way, of MILF Manor. There's only one more to go, episode 12.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more tame, this friends and family episode, than first season. The first season it was a little crazier because the MILFs brought their ex-husbands, I believe, last year, and then the sons were there interacting with the ex-husbands. It was a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? Uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And this episode, though, we got a little insight on a lot of different people. Like Kelly Mack's daughter Michelle showed up. Joey from season 1 showed up to support his mom. Barbie's friend showed up. So let me ask you this question. When the women brought friends instead of their kids, did that raise a red flag for you? Because I was like, if you want to meet the person and get to know them, the closest person to them would be their child. So it was really weird to me that a lot of the women brought their close friends. Like what's her name? Christina brought her close friend. They didn't want to bring their children or their ex or anyone close. And I don't know, that was really telling for me. Like, why so mysterious? I get it because we actually met Barbie's son on a FaceTime call with Barbie and Chris, and it was really awkward because her son is 1 year younger than Chris.
Yeah.
Right? Like, can you imagine having that conversation with your mom and a guy that you could have literally sat next to in school?
I can't imagine
right?
having that conversation with my son. My son is
right, but with
That's
someone
crazy.
he could have sat next to him in school. Like, that's how close in age they were. Like, that's like a nightmare. Like, I love the fact that my mom is super religious and she only believes in marriage, and she's only, after her divorce, she didn't really date much. So sorry, mom, that you didn't, but at least I don't have to worry about you FaceTiming me to introduce me to your boyfriend that I might have went to school with. Like, that's like horrific. That's so many years of therapy
That's
for
like
me, right? Like that
sleeping
whole,
with your son. Like, seriously, that's like sleeping with your son.
It's disgusting.
I
Yeah.
know, right? Because that was kind of the topic on X last night. They were like, no, everyone is of age, nothing is weird, but it's just gross.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no one's doing anything illegal, but it's totally gross to think that this dude and her son were born within 12 months of each other. And it's wild to me. And it was Barbie's birthday also. Happy birthday to Barbie. I think Barbie's really beautiful, but I also think that Barbie has a lot of inner issues because it kind of came out when she was explaining the call with her son, EJ, to everybody, and Kelly happened to be in the group. Kelly and Barbie never really interacted so far this season. I thought about it last night. So this interaction, it was kind of passive aggressive, right? Like, it seemed like Barbie was trying to be rude, but in a nice way. And Kelly caught on to it, and Kelly was just like, hey, I don't know what you're trying to say about season 1, but thanks to me, with season 1, you're here for season 2. And
we all felt what Barbie was saying. Season 1 was tacky as could be.
Oh yeah, it was tacky and gross, and it made you feel like the FBI might show up because you're watching something weird, right? Like, it did make you feel that way. You wanted to go take
It was disgusting on some places. Yeah, it was bad.
Well, I was having that conversation on Twitter last night because people were saying, remember when the sex ed situation where the moms were teaching the sons how to do sexual stuff? Like, it was to the point where this is trashy as hell.
Yeah.
Right? So I get where Barbie was coming from. Like, you know, if this was last season, I wouldn't have done the show. I understand what she means, but Kelly took it personally. And, you know, I don't. So are we team Barbie or team Kelly? That's what I wanted to ask. Like, do you feel like Kelly was right for defending herself, or do you think that Barbie kind of went off on her and it was extra? How do you feel?
We all know I'll never be Team Kelly because I can't see.
Yeah, I don't like neither one of them. I ain't team one of them. Mm-mm.
But Barbie wasn't wrong. She was talking to someone else about a phone conversation. She said because season 1 was tacky, and then just tried to move on. Mm-hmm. She prefaced it with no offense, but season 1 was tacky. Well, what part of season 1 did she just want her to say because you're a nasty whore? Like, is that what she was waiting for? Because that's what I would have said.
Well, she did, you know what's that word is, antagonize. She antagonized her. Barbie did try to keep it classy and keep, you know, the confrontation down. She was just like, yeah, no, it was tacky. I wouldn't have done it. It's not my scene.
Barbie was just trying to finish her story. She was in the middle of telling somebody else's story. She was telling someone else's story about the conversation with her son, about the feelings she got from her son, how well Chris kept it together. And Kelly just had to insert her ass everywhere it doesn't go, as usual, and she got put in her place.
Well, it's the Kelly show. And I think that's what Barbie was trying to say. She's like, it's always about you. And it's funny because that's kind of what Kelly was trying to say about her. She's like, no one's paying attention to you, so you're doing. And I feel like they were both calling each other fake, and they were calling each other clout chaser, thirst traps. And I think to an extent, they both are.
But
right?
Also,
like, let's just.
Also, one thing that Barbie's son EJ said was, every time my mom brings a guy home, blah, blah, blah. So obviously she's bringing guys home left and right, and obviously they're younger. So
yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't catch that. You know what? I didn't catch that. That's true. You know, but Barbie, she's been going live, and she's been talking a lot, you know, about reacting to the episodes. And she did say something the other day where she was like, yeah, I've been intimate, and I share intimacy with lots of different people, you know, basically implying she's gotten around. You know, and, you know, it is what it is. I don't shame people
She gives me prostitute vibes.
Yep.
Well, really?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
So more than just a stripper, you're thinking boom boom room, back of the house type situation. Really?
Yes. Why do you think her son was so upset? Because and why do you think he had that kind of reaction? And why do you think he stated what he stated? Every time my mom brings a different guy home, they just hit it and quit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just back up too. Imagine what it's like. You're in 6th or 7th grade, and your mom is a stripper, right? And, you know, for some weird reason, news like this travels. Like, if she had a PhD, nobody would fucking know, right?
Yep.
But since she's a stripper, all of your friends are somehow gonna know. And, like, imagine how early in life he's been having to defend his mother's actions. And I think that was the look of, like, exhaustion when he answered the phone, and he's like, where's this guy?
Yeah.
Like, how many more times do I have to defend my mom? And I could see that in his face, because he was like, I know what they're going to say. I know the backlash it's going to bring, because he's been living this his whole life. And, you know, when you're in school, because let's just be real, I know when I was younger, when people's like, I went to a Christian school, so we didn't have any stripper moms, but we did have like moms who had kids that weren't married. You know, it was a super ridiculous. So that type of information, or women that were single that ended up pregnant, you know, because I was in a cult, so everything was wrong. So like that information always was going around, and those kids were always having to deal with bullying, name calling, and I just saw it in his face. He was just like, I'm so tired of trying to tame my mom, right? Like,
but did anybody else feel like he was a little bummed out that he didn't get to be on the show? Because you hear him talk, you hear him say all the things, and you're like, this poor kid, he's going through all the shit. But then when Barbie goes out and she's talking to everybody, she's like, if Kelly would have shut her damn mouth and give her a chance to finish, she said, we talked about the show and what to expect and what was going to happen. So basing it on last season being tacky, that tells me that he was ready to come on the show and meet some MILFs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure that was probably the plan.
Yeah, so now
they switched. Yeah, they changed the show around completely. Like from last season to this season, it's like almost we're watching a different show.
Right.
And I think that it was because of a lot of backlashes. I remember when we started the podcast last year on it, I had people reach out to me and say, I'm not watching your podcast because that show is just trashy and I won't. And they were like, I'm disappointed that you would talk about it. Like that's how much people didn't like the level of classlessness that it was giving. Like people really didn't like the vibe. So I think that they had to change it because, you know, nobody wants a show to be complete backlash. You want it to make news, but you also don't want people outside with signs, you know, outside of the lot picketing too. Like you want people to talk about it, but in a way that it's helpful. And I think that this season, because, oh, you know what? Sean saw Kelly Mac's daughter and he was like, see, this is the type of girl that I was hoping to see here. And I was like, see, in last season, this is exactly what they would have tried to pull. Yeah. Right? Because his dad Darren would have been dating Kelly Mac, and then he would be his dad would be dating her daughter, and then vice versa. You know, that's the type of trash that they would have pulled. But I think they're trying to keep it tame this season.
When we got the previews for this week, last week, I thought they were bringing in daughters, and that was going to throw in the whole mix. The daughters could date the dads, the daughters could date the sons. That's what I mean, not going to lie, I was kind of hoping for that.
Yeah.
But I was really bummed when I found out it wasn't.
Me too. They classed it up a little too classy, right? I feel like we're watching like a religious gospel dating show. Like, you know, keep it a little trashy, right? Like I want to be.
We gotta have just a pinch of trash in there. Just
you know, we watch trash TV. Keep it trashy. You know, bring that lady's daughter in there, and then try to get the daughter to like the same guy. Keep a little trash in there. You know, just a little bit. We're not asking for like a landfill. You know, just one garbage can and just tip it over just a little bit. Yeah. You know, just a little bit. Just so
I mean, they traumatized us with the watermelon and the what was the other? Was it syrup or honey or something?
Oh,
I mean,
Lord.
they traumatized us with that. So why not just throw a little bit more in there?
Yeah.
That watermelon, I questioned how we were watching that on regular TV. Because I was like, this is Cinemax. Like, I know that it's implied, but come on. Like, this is regular TV. When we're not watching Cinemax, like, they really pushed the envelope. And I think that was the highest peak for it this season. Like, they wanted people to be mad or irritated, but not picket and boycott. And I remember a lot of people would send me tweets, and they're like, I'm not watching that. It's disgusting. I have morals. You know, it really struck a nerve with a lot of people. They were like, well, I was raised better than that to be watching MILF Manor. You know, like they definitely weren't going to be a part of that. So next week, we're going to watch the finale and see who exactly ends up together, which my only high hope is Kelly, Mac, and Darren. They seem like the real only genuine connection.
Yeah.
Kelly, Disco Mommy, is talking to Dan, the newest guy, but she talks to everybody. So it's like, I don't really know if that's a genuine connection or if she's just like, it's the flavor of the week. Also, Rebecca was like absent this episode, which was weird.
Which was awesome.
It was weird. I was like, she was like the topic of discussion. Everybody's fighting and screaming. And then this episode, I had to look for her. I was like, well, where's Rebecca? She's like barely there, which is really interesting. Oh, and Barbie and Chris left the manor in the middle of the night. So that was a big bombshell. So they packed their stuff in the middle of the night and they left. They took their love to the real world, which is not going to work. It's going to fail because we've already, you know, we have the internet. So we have Instagram. We saw that Chris is attacking Barbie, and Chris's mom is also attacking Barbie, right? Like, can you imagine? No offense, I'm not coming for you, Chris, but you're a 28-year-old MMA fighter and your mom is yelling at your ex-girlfriend on the internet. Can you imagine?
No.
No. Well, like, Chris probably found out. Barbie's son probably told Chris. That's another reason why they probably didn't take Barbie's son onto the show, is because he was going to throw her under the bus and tell Chris exactly how many guys she's actually been with. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because you put two and two together, there is a really good reason why. So if they're no longer together, then he probably found out the reason why.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's only a matter of time. You know what people say, your past catches up to you, right? And if your reputation what did Taylor Swift said something about it. It precedes you or whatever. Like when people are eventually gonna know what you're about. And then, you know, a lot of people have been saying Barbie gives She Belongs to the Street vibes.
Yeah.
You know, like she's like yeah, like she's that doorknob at Grand Central Station and everybody had to turn it to get on the train, right? So she does give those vibes. Again, Barbie, I love you. You're great. I don't know if you're listening to this. If you are, sorry. But, you know, you do give those vibes off. And, you know, it is what it is. There's nothing wrong. I don't judge anybody for being extra intimate with everyone, right? Like, I don't judge anybody for that. But, you know, if you're trying to nail a serious relationship with a guy, because, you know, Chris doesn't really have a lot of experience, you know, in long-term relationships, you might want to, you know, seek somebody who's a little more in your area of numbers, right?
Yep.
And, you know, but so I want to talk about the other way, right? Because that came on and we got a lot of Sarper and Shekinah, which was very, very difficult for me to get through. Like, I respect relationships. I respect people. I don't respect Sarper and Shekinah. I'm just gonna be real. Like, I just hate them. Like, as characters on TV. In real life, praying to God they're decent human beings. But like, what really irritates me about Shekinah is she plays both sides of the fence. I guess, like, she's like, oh, I'm trying to have to put my foot down and make him get rid of his bottle collection because that, you know, represents women that he has memories with. I'm like, but you're letting him construct your nose and tell him what you can and can't eat. So do you want him to control you? Yes or no? Or do you want to have your own mind? You can't have both.
Yeah.
Like, you can't think for yourself, but also tell him, you know, what can I eat
today? For you.
Yeah. Right. Like, she really, and okay, and this is going to come off as really mean, but she left her daughter, but she brought her dog.
Yep.
Make it.
I was gonna say that.
Make it make sense, because she was like, "Meet your son," and I was like, "What about your daughter, the one that you gave birth to? Where's she at?" If you thought enough to bring, because she called the dog her son, her child, and she was like, "I couldn't imagine leaving my child," and I'm like, "But you did. You legit did. Yeah. You legit left your daughter, who the hell knows, in some boarding school." And you know, we all saw that Paris Hilton documentary of what happened to her in a boarding school. Yeah. Boarding schools are not the any school, like, let's be real, nothing in this world is safe anymore, but sending your child to like a random boarding school and hoping things are okay, especially a girl, because, you know, Paris Hilton wrote a whole book and she's been in Congress trying to change these laws, the way that they treat children in general in boarding school, boys too. It's just terrifying. And hey, Mikey, congrats on your wedding and marriage, right? That was kind of like a big deal. Mikey Burke is in here. He's married and he inherited a kid, right? So congrats to him.
I saw sad news about that, but I don't know. I don't want to say anything.
I hope nothing is going wrong. This was really recent. Yeah. I hope things are still going great. But yeah, and Sarper, I don't know. I can. Oh yeah. You know what? Is it weird that his car was like equivalent to a 2008 Kia? I assume that a man. I assume that a man who had stripped for like 30 years would drive like a Bentley. Am I wrong to assume that?
But wait, this is after he's telling you that he's the bad boy and gives the bad boy vibes, and he's never had a dog because he's a bad boy, and bad boys like cats. I don't know what kind of shows he's watching, but every bad boy I've ever seen doesn't drive a 2008 Camry. They don't freaking have kitties that they leave all over the place. There is nothing about him screams bad boy. Nothing.
No, I mean, it could be a cultural difference, right? Like maybe bad boy in Turkey is not the same as bad boy in US. You know, it's really interesting to me. And what else? There was something else he did this episode. I have a million things.
He said that he was what was that? How did he say it? That he was like a Catholic preacher faithful or something like that while she was gone for 3 months. Come on, man. Seriously? Come on.
I've been living the priest life, he said.
Yeah, the priest life. That's it. That's how he said it. Come on. George, do you think he was living the priest life for 3 months?
No.
I don't think that he knows what a priest would do. Like, I think that I don't know. I labeled him on one of these posts on Instagram the other day, and I felt bad after, a walking STD. And
Yes.
people were like, that's mean. And I was like, but it's true. It's like, if an STD had a face, it would be Sarper's face. Like if you know how when we were in school, they would show us pictures of infected things and we would know like that was an STD. They would show us a picture of Sarper. That's an STD.
Yes.
Stay away from them. Those are
agree.
bad for you. They're going to make you sick and they're incurable, right? Like that's
Yes.
just how I feel. He's
agree.
an incurable disease. And watching their story, and it's like they got a lot of camera time, and I feel like TLC did it on purpose because they know how everybody feels about them. And I gotta talk about the 143-page letter before we move on, because I want to talk about James and Tata. But the 143-page letter. So kinda is pissed off because Sarper won't get rid of the bottle collection, which, whatever. First of all, they're empty. Yeah. Who the hell keeps empty bottles? But anyway, she decided that instead of having an adult conversation and putting her foot down like any woman would do, she's going to, like a 7th grader, bring her a love letter she got in middle school or elementary school and plant it in the house so Sarper can see it, and then he can see what it feels like when people hold on to other things. And first of all, Sarper existed before Shekinah, and Shekinah existed before Sarper. So they were in relationships. They were intimate with people. Like this, you can't erase. I mean, I get it, because you remember Jasmine. She was like destroying photos and napkins of his ex-wife. I get that you don't want to walk into your house and see a picture of somebody's ex on the wall. I get that. But the fact that she wants to make it as though a man who supposedly has sex with 2,500 people only has sex with her is kind of ridiculous at this point. Yeah. It's like he is who he is. He's a hoe. Okay? Yeah. You are trying to marry a hoe. And at this point, you have to accept him for being a hoe. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but you have to accept him for who he is.
Yeah.
And who he is. He literally has a book of exes of every time he was a hoe. And it's a lot of exes. So it's like, I don't know what she's trying to turn him into.
Yeah. Also, I want to touch base on his fake tears at the airport. Yeah. But now that we saw Sean and what's her name, Aaliyah, be filmed 3 times at the airport, 3 different sets.
Yeah.
Okay. I will forever pay attention to the airport scenes, like so much. So Shekinah comes walking out with her little thing, pushing it, right? He starts crying, blah, blah, blah. She's just got her little thing with her luggage. No dog crate. Then all of a sudden the dog and the dog crate appear, and she's pushing that and he's pushing the cart. So how many times did we fake those tears? Well,
I'm assuming that he can cry on demand, right? You know, I feel like actors are really good. And if hypothetically, let's say he slept with 2,500 women, you would have to be a good actor, because there's not a lot going on with Sarper, right? Like, he's not like a woman walks up to him and panties are dropping, right? So I feel like he's been acting.
According to him, they are.
Well, according to him, but most people
if I walked by him, my panties would be jumping out of my luggage trying to get on my body.
Right? They would grow a protective film to make sure you don't catch a disease. Yes. Right? They would deploy the shields. Right? They would deploy the shields and be like, "Oh my God, I have to protect Kara. There is a walking STD within our distance." Like, they would deploy the shields and try to save you. Right? At this point, like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to waste too much time on them, because I know they're going to give us so much more to hate throughout the season, right? Yeah. So I want to get into this Statler and Dempsey. So we're watching Dempsey sell all her stuff, and, you know, we know how this ends up. So, like, we're kind of watching the story in rewind, right? Because we know where the outcome is, so we're watching it, like, we're rewinding it backwards. So Dempsey said she sold her house, she sold her car. I'm wondering if she did those things, because Dempsey said that this is a trip. They're not going to live in this van forever. This is something that she's always wanted to do, and this is a trip. So I'm like, it wouldn't make sense to sell your house and sell everything you own. Like, even if you were gone for a year, if you own those things, store them.
Well, I mean,
you know, because
watch the house drive away, right?
Well, right. You could literally store her house, because that's the first thing I thought. I was like, your house is literally mobile. Yes. You could literally pay to put your house in like a warehouse until you need it. So the fact that she was trying to make it seem like she was selling everything, because, you know, in the end, Statler says that she got stuck paying the full bill for this van. And it made no sense to me because I was like, if Statler is selling, or if Dempsey's selling all this stuff, she should have enough money to cover this van. The van is used, guys. This isn't like a Mercedes Sprinter that they got off the lot. This is a used van that's been through a lot. Like it had beds in it. It was already converted. It wasn't a Mercedes Sprinter. You know, those are like $180,000. That's not what we're talking.
Right.
So the fact that Statler says that she got stuck. Oh, guys, sorry. This is spoiler information. So if you didn't know that, just be aware. This is something that Statler announced before. Oh, thanks, Molly. She said that she had to take out a personal loan to purchase this van, and Dempsey helped zero with it. And it's interesting.
Which doesn't make any sense because I feel like Dempsey's going to have way more money selling off all of her stuff.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
If she
I don't know.
sold her house and her car, everything but her clothes, the van wouldn't have even been 25% of what she would have made off of that. A lot of it's not, the math doesn't math yet because, you know, we're watching it in rewind. So we don't have the full picture yet. But it's just really interesting because watching how Statler was really not excited about moving on to the road, living in the van, doing all this stuff. And Dempsey was really excited. It did look like, for a while, Dempsey was using Statler to get this dream into reality. Right. She always wanted to do this. She always wanted to travel the world. She wanted to do it in a van, and I feel like Statler might be her vessel to make it happen. You know, like I'm getting early vibes. It's hard because that seed has been planted in the back of my mind. I know I need to see the bad in Dempsey now because that's what Statler has planted. And so I'm looking for the bad, even though last season I didn't find much. I'm looking for it now.
Well, you know, this season it's all going to come out because we already know they're no longer together. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, not together. They hate each other. Like,
but also
exactly. So
the only thing that's gonna stick with me forever that I can't undo or unsee is that Statler pees in her bath.
So, oh yeah, that's disgusting.
That is disgusting.
I'm not surprised because she's weird and gross, but I know that she has autism and ADHD, and I'm not referring to those when I say weird and gross. I mean like her personality.
Yeah.
Like the things that she does and says, like just erratic, strange things. Nothing to do with her disabilities. It's just when you're in the tub, like it's not. See, I don't even pee in the shower because I feel like the whole purpose of getting in the tub or the shower is to be clean. So if you pee in the water and then you get out, are you clean?
Not at all.
Like I have so many questions, but she always, every time we see her, she says something weird, and I think that's like her thing. I think it's like her niche, you know. Like she always says something weird or some weird habit or strange thing that she does, and it's kind of like her defense mechanism. I remember the first season we met her. Every time they had a tough conversation, she'd say something really out of the place about her sex life. Yeah, like, oh, I had sex in a church, and like she always just deflect. And I'm just wondering, is that like a defense mechanism for her? Because she always says that she's not a people person. She prefers to be alone. She's not social. So I was like, I wonder if she's just acting weird and she's actually normal, right? Like that crossed my mind too.
Well, she did say on the last season that when she gets nervous, she acts weird because she don't like being around people. She prefers to be out in the woods with like around animals and insects.
Right.
That people make her nervous.
People talk back, you know, and people, you know, I totally understand that. Animals are like the most perfect beings because they show you love. They basically, if they're upset with you, you know, if they're happy with you, you know, they're just honest beings, right? Like animals are just the most honest beings. So I totally understand people can get to you because figuring out a person and how they feel can be the most exhausting thing in the world because people will not just come out. We can communicate, but people will not come out and tell you how they feel. You have to try to figure it out. So I totally get it.
But why, I don't care how well you communicate with animals. I don't care how well you survive on your own. You can say weird shit like, I like the way onions smell. You don't say shit like, I pee in the bathtub. I had sex in a church. That's just not what you say to get attention.
It's not.
You know?
It's
just.
And then wonder why people think you're so strange. And you know, like it's just he's like, oh, people think I'm weird. I'm like, no, people think you're weird because you give them that vibe. you give them every opportunity to call you weird. Oh, so James and I think her name is Matalia. I think I called her Natalia last year. Of course, it can't be that easy. It's Matalia with an M, right? So I noticed that on the screen tonight. So she's heading back to Indonesia, and we got a little more insight. I don't know. I get this weird feeling that James has no real like want to go to Indonesia. Like I'm feeling like he's shipping her off, and he's like rethinking his life choices. But she's going back, and we found out that her parents own a banana chip factory. We found that last week, and they're not going to pay him, her husband James, to work for them. They're going to use him as a sales contractor, and he's going to purchase chips from her dad, and then they're going to like sell chips door to door.
Make
Well, I mean, I don't know, not necessarily door to door. Maybe like have like a kiosk, like a hot dog stand. I don't know.
He said it had to be in a different city.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're like going to be traveling banana chip salesmen or whatever. And I don't know, like, I'm not trying to say that any country has better opportunities than any other, because I have never been to Indonesia in my life. But it doesn't sound like they're going to have the life that they want selling banana chips like a carnival food.
I don't know. It makes the American dream sound a lot more appealing.
Well, and let's be real, James is leaving a family business where he's paid a fair wage because they own the business, right? Like,
and it's a
it's
family
not,
business who he's just leaving high and dry. He's leaving in a week. That's not even a normal notice. Normally, you would give 2 weeks notice. He's leaving.
This isn't the first time he's left them.
No.
It's
Exactly.
a pattern of screwing his family over, right? Because we found out in this episode that he left them when she got here, and they got married within a couple of months. She hated the cold, totally get it, and she wanted them to move to Florida, and she was like, I'm moving to Florida with or without you. So he moves to Florida, screws them over, then doesn't tell them, and he's like really scared to tell anyone anything. They wait till the last possible second to release information, I guess, basing on how angry the person could be, because, you know, the earlier you tell them, the more time they have to be pissed at you. So he told his little brother a week or so, maybe less than a week, that when he was supposed to leave to go to Indonesia, and then he's going to tell his parents even later. And even the brother's like, so you're quitting your job. You're like screwing us over once again. Yeah. And it seems like a pattern. It's like, I was always taught as a kid, don't bite the hand that feeds you. And his family is literally the hand that feeds you. They're paying him to work for a business. He's making good money because family's going to take care of each other. It's not like he's working for FedEx, you know, and he's making a basic hourly wage. He's making a living, and he's giving it all up for, I don't really feel like they have a plan at all. Do you feel like the plan that they have makes any sense? She wants to go back because of she feels that the medical services in Indonesia are better, which I think, I don't know that. I've never been to Indonesia, but I feel like every country has amazing people in medicine, right? Like, I feel like wherever you are, just like every country has amazing scientists and people who can every country has their good points and good people and strong knowledge. So I think that she wants to go back home, which is fine. I get it. Moving to another country is a lot when you don't know anyone except the person you're married to. But I just don't see why he is agreeing with it and gonna pack up and go. It makes no sense. I feel like their relationship should just end, and she should go back and he should stay where he is. Like, is that the vibes you're getting?
But my $1 million question about this couple is, why are they on the show? They're already freaking married. This is 90 Day Fiance the other way. We watch to see them get married, blah, blah, blah. They're already freaking married. Why are they on the show?
Yeah, you're right. Not only married, but they've known each other 5 years and been married 2.5. And they've already lived in 2 different states. They actually lived in Maine and Florida. And now this is the 3rd place they're going to be living together, Indonesia. Yeah, you're right. That's interesting, because every time we watch a couple on this show, it's the beginning of the relationship, not 2.5 years in.
Or supposedly the beginning. They're not the only couple that's done this. There's been other couples that's been together for a very long time and married.
Well,
and then they've come on the show.
Jenny and Sumit have been dating for a really long time before they came on the show, but they weren't married yet, right? They weren't married yet, but they were dating.
Yeah, but Nona and what's-his-face was married before they even come on the show.
Yeah, they were married.
And then there was another couple. I can't remember the name of them. Let my brain think. But there was another couple that was married and they lied to get on the show as well.
Well,
I can't remember. Let me think.
when you get
Well, we have two
married,
married couples on this season.
who's the other married couple?
Let me look at last week.
Oh, you know what? You're right. The guy who's moving to China, isn't he married to that woman? The woman who has the elevator in her house? Yeah, you're right. He's married to her.
Lily.
Josh and Lily. Yeah, you're right. They are married already. So I guess, see, but again, we've been talking about this before, how they've been kind of loosening up the requirements and rules for the shows lately. And they started it, the damn Single Life, when we started getting two Americans, you know, two Americans dating each other on the Single Life, and the rules and regulations started to just dwindle away from there. They're like, oh, well, we can make an exception because this looks like a good story. We can make an exception because, you know, they're really drama and they bring a lot of entertainment, and they just, now at this point, like you're saying, there's no really rules or regulations to getting on the show. If you're married, cool. If you're not, cool.
They promote spousal abuse. It's fine.
Right? I mean, whatever brings them cash, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what they're banking on. And also, the episode was an hour long. So does that mean, you know, we already talked about this last season, we're getting like 30 episodes again?
So help me God.
Because
I hope not. Oh my goodness. I hope not.
I was really happy when the premiere was 2 hours, because they've always been 2 hours. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I've watched every show since the very first one, right? I remember when Russ and Power were on the first season. I remember them always being 2 hours. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they started out as an hour, and then as the momentum gained.
I always remember them being 2 hours.
Me too,
but,
right?
But they're the last couple of spin-offs, they've done hours so that they could put 712 episodes and waste a year of our life on the same people.
Well, they can put more ads in each show too, and if you've got 30 episodes instead of 15, you know, people are paying double for ads, so you're getting double the money for the exact same amount of work. Because I was like, when it went off, I was like, oh no, they're doing it again. They're screwing us over, so we're gonna be watching this until Christmas. Yeah. Because when that happened the last time, we watched that season for 6.5 months, and it really blows your mind, because it's like, holy crap, we've been watching these people for half a year. You know, like,
I don't think it would be as painful if Sarper and Shekinah weren't on it. Like, they're so painful.
Yeah.
Not only that, but the couples, I mean, I know we're just on the second one, but it's not grabbing my attention at all. They're boring.
Yeah.
Well,
I think once we get to Lily and what's his face, the Play-Doh eating guy, it'll be great.
Josh.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be interesting, because he's not allowed to work. Like, their visa requirements are really different in China. He's got to wait the full 5 years. There's no exceptions. Like, you know, when you get to America, depending on how fast you file your paperwork, you can apply for that work visa within like.
Which is so crazy to me, because literally there are so much shit made in China. It seems like they would take whoever would be willing to work, whether you're legal or not. They put kids in there for crying out loud.
Okay, so here's my theory. Don't come for me. So I feel like in China, they don't pay a living wage. So I feel like if an American was to go to China, they're going to expect something more than what China's going to give. Because like you said, they have these factories where like 10-year-olds are making pennies. Yeah. So I feel like their wages are a lot lower, and I guess there's no law that's regulating it. They can just do it. So I feel like if an American comes over there and gets a job, we're going to expect a living wage. We're going to expect benefits. We're going to expect all this. And I think that, I haven't heard a lot of Americans say that they went over to China just to work a normal job. Like, that's where you go to start a company. Like, you don't really go there to work like a 9-to-5 job. That's not really how you're going to make money there. But I know for a fact, when you start a company over there, the laws are in your favor, and you can pay really low wages, and you can have a really high profit margin. So I feel like if you're going to do it, you know, you need to go over there and start a business. That's the only way you're really going to make it.
Yeah. I don't know. It all seems so off the wall to me, knowing, I don't know. They're never going to make it. They're married, but they're never going to make it.
She's rich, and she likes to put in his face how much everything costs, because he was like, you don't have to always tell me how much things cost. And, you know, I was watching that scene, and I was like, men are like that. Like men like to throw things in women's faces.
Yeah.
It's funny when men are subjected to the exact same behavior that they put women through, they don't like it. Because he's like, you don't have to tell me. I was like, but in normal relationships where the guy's paying and the guy's in charge of things, he always says like, oh, well, let's go eat at this place. It's expensive. Or you want this purse. It's expensive. They always say prices. So I was like, it's funny to watch him react to her doing what usually men are doing to women. And, you know, it's not fun. It's not to always be made to feel like you're a burden. It's not fun. It's not how you want to be made to feel every day. Like, oh, this costed me this. Or you want to, like Jasmine, like Gina's like, oh, you want to be in a pageant, that's going to cost me $2,000. Or you want to this, that's going to cost me $3,000. Women don't like to be made to feel like they're a burden to you, especially when you brought them here knowing that they couldn't pay for anything on their own. You know, like, I really think that that's an interesting table turn for him, because now he's going to have to see what it's like to be, you know, the woman, you know, in the relationship. He's got to deal with the fact that she's in charge of the money. And if he wants to go to the store and buy something, she's got to okay it, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know. We'll see if it gets more interesting, but so far it's super blah.
Yeah.
We've only gotten in 3 hours total, and I felt like they could have, well, it was only an hour, but they only put 3 different couples in this episode, and I was like, I wanted more, but you have, for an hour, you're only working with what you have.
Yeah.
So, and most of it was Sharper and Shekinah, which I was paying attention, but they get underneath my skin.
Yeah.
Because it's like watching like 2 7th graders dating, who ironically are in their 40s, who have one, between the 2 of them, each have a child, but they behave like children, and like bringing her little love note and like, I'm gonna make him jealous, and I'm like, that's not how adults handle problems. You don't, like, if you're having an issue with your spouse, you don't invite over your pretty friend or your good looking guy friend to make him jealous. That's not how adults do things. That's how children, like, if you're in middle school and the person you like doesn't like you back, then you go and talk to their friend. That's what a middle school person would do. That's how you get someone's attention. You should be acting like an adult.
Yeah, it's gonna be a shit show. It's fine. I'm here for it.
Oh yeah. I'm totally here for it. I love a shit show. I love craziness. And next week, the finale of MILF Manor. So it's gonna be over after Sunday. And this season, it was good, right? Like, I feel like it was good. The Barbie and Kelly fight was, I ranked it a little higher than who was fighting, Rebecca and Kelly. Like, I ranked it a little higher because Barbie really got in there and started screaming and calling her out her name. And, you know, I like Kelly a lot, but I do think that Kelly is a mean girl. You know, I feel like she definitely, but I felt like from being honest, Barbie and Kelly are clout chasers.
Yeah.
And they both like to be the center of attention. And it was kind of funny watching them, like, try to determine who is the fakest of the two.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that who's that lady in the mirror where she's like the wicked witch? Yeah. And then I'm like, they're fighting over who's the wickeder of the witches. And I'm like, you're both evil witches. You know, like, you're both like that. Because when Kelly came in the house, Barbie started talking shit about her right away. And it's like, it's weird because I said something on X about it, and I was like, it's weird how Barbie says that she's all about women empowerment and not judging women, and women can be strippers, and then the second a pretty woman comes in the house, she's like, I don't like her. You know, I was like, that's
and then he goes around and tells all the other ladies, oh, well, on season 1, she was, you know, the one that caused all the problems and all this other stuff. So
yeah, it's just interesting, and it's funny because she replied to that, and she was just like, you've read me all wrong. And I was like, I don't think I have, but thanks. You know, I don't think I have. Like, I can totally see that you're a hypocrite, and most people are. You know, I'm a hypocrite. We're all hypocrites to some extent, right? So I totally see that, but I feel like in my mind, they're so much alike. That's why they hate each other, right? Like, I feel like Barbie and Kelly are basically the same person in different bodies. And I think it irritates them because of that. You know, because they can see each other in each other, but they also hate what they see. So it's like, it's an internal thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's awful. I know that.
Oh, so Gina says Barbie's the only one that knew about season 1.
Nah.
Yeah, it seems like she's the only one
Barbie's
that watched.
the only one that brought up season 1.
It could have been possible they asked them not to bring it up.
Yeah.
And then Barbie just didn't care and she did what she wanted to do. Because it could be possible. Because I'm pretty sure everybody watched the show, right? Like if you're gonna be
Barbie brought it up, and then Barbie left like an hour later. So
yeah, I think that they asked her to keep it classy about season 1, and because even Kelly came in and she didn't really have a lot to say about season 1, which was really interesting, and a lot of the women didn't know her because they were like, "Who are you?" And they're like, "Oh, she's from season 1." Some of the women acted like they had never seen her before,
right?
So, which is BS, but it's fine. So, okay, what time is it? Oh, we actually have time left today. Yesterday we were going to get caught. Yeah, look at us. We're doing good. Well, we didn't have a lot to work with because there were only 3 people on this episode, and Sharper and Sakina were 2 of them. So it doesn't give you a lot to work with. But James and Natalia are my favorites so far. I just feel like they give me a lot of Julia and Brandon vibes, but also Brandon
he looks like if Brandon and Statler had a baby.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. I was really shocked at how much he looked so much like Brandon, though. It was just really weird to me. So yeah, I'm interested in that. He doesn't want to have kids, which I'm totally fine with. I respect people that don't want to have kids because I was on Instagram or TikTok the other day, and there was some weird lady at a casino who left her kid in the car for 5 hours while she was gambling. Pissed me the hell off, but I was like, you know what? It makes me respect people who are mature enough and smart enough to know, hey, a child would take up way too much of my time. I would rather not do that. I respect them so much because that's such a selfless, mature thing to do. So when James was like, I don't really want to have kids, I was like, see, I respect that because kids are a lifelong commitment. If you're not ready to commit to that, it's the most selfless, loving thing that you can do for that child, right?
I agree.
Wait, I disagree with you on that. I don't like John. Who is John?
I don't know who John is.
I don't know who John is. I know you don't mean Boston John. Oh, James. Because I was like, we all like
I
Boston.
like him. I like him so far. I said it last week. So
I don't like neither one of them, so I'm not fond of neither one of them.
This episode, she came across as a bitch, but I still like him this far. Aside from the fact that he's not giving notice, I still like him this far.
Yeah. From what we saw, it was good. All right, guys, so we're gonna wrap up. We have time to spare. I'm proud of us.
Yeah.
So we're gonna come back next week on Sunday, and we're gonna talk about the Happily Ever After. 2 more episodes. So next week and then the week after, and then I'll get with you on times for everything else. I'm gonna be in LA for a while, so I'm gonna get back to you on those times. I'll probably be able to do it. Just I have to discover the schedule, and Wi-Fi is important too. Yeah. So I'll get with you guys on that. But Sunday we'll be here at the normal date and time. So we'll talk about Happily Ever After. Oh, and I did find out 4-part tell-all.
Oh man.
2 episodes of the house, 2 episodes of the full Happily Ever After tell-all. So we're looking at a month of tell-all for Happily Ever After, and then from what I was told, we're going straight into B90 before the 90 days. Then before the 90 days is over, The Last Resort. So it's basically one after the other. We're not getting a break in between. And because we know right now we have 2 shows on at once. So then we're going into before the 90 days. And then right after, before the 90 days, we're going straight into The Last Resort. And then I believe right after The Last Resort is over, it's the OG 90 Day Fiance. So we're doing year-round.
Single Life is coming up too.
Which one? Oh yeah, the Single Life.
The Single Life, yeah.
They're filming now. You're right. They're filming now. I don't know. I know the last time that they filmed, it took a year to come back. But the rumor mill is Gino and Jasmine are filming separately. Yep. So we're going to see how...
Another rumor, too, that Big Ed's coming back.
That's what I heard.
I haven't heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised. He's an asset, and he's also still under contract with Sharp. So it would make a lot of sense. You know, if they own you, they're going to make money off of you. So it would make a lot of sense because he just, whenever you know, they're under contract for 2 years after that. So why would you get rid of something? It's like a cash cow, right? Why would you get rid of a cash cow?
Or just a cow.
Yeah, or just a cow. All right, guys, make sure you're following both of my co-hosts, Cara and Didi, who are my dream team. I'm going to tag them in this video. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at George Mossey, GeorgeMossey.com. Anywhere you get your podcast, type in The George Mossey Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to all of you really soon.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.